The North Carolina tobacco harvest arrived early this year. Earlier, in fact, than the harvest crew from Mexico that farmer Billy Carter had hired.
You're looking at a crop that is done all but the harvest, and you don't have the laborers to bring it in.
It was a race to catch up. Carter says he lost tobacco and lost income. He had hired his workers legally through the government's H-2A farm worker visa program. He had to set their start date months in advance, but the weather does not always follow that schedule. The risk of lost crops is one reason most farmers don't use the program. But it's not the only one, says Lee Wicker with the North Carolina Growers Association, or NCGA.
It's definitely fair to say that the H-2A system is complicated.
Wicker says the rules and the paperwork are daunting. NCGA will handle the bureaucracy for about $1,000 per worker. Wicker says he warns farmers the system is complex and expensive.
If you have a way to harvest your crops without going into the H-2A program, you should do that as long as you can.
Most farmers are taking his advice. Government figures say H-2A workers make up just 10% of the farm labor force. Farmers say they want to hire legal workers, but Americans apparently don't want the work. In 2007, the North Carolina Farm Bureau tried recruiting workers with radio ads and a toll-free number, says Larry Wooten, the Farmers Group's president.
Anybody wanting to work in agriculture, give us a call. On this 800 number, we'd try to get you a job placed working in agriculture. We had about 3 calls was all we had.
But critics say that's because farmers offer wages that are far too low. And the H-2A program provides protection for American and immigrant workers, says Eric Ruark with the Federation for American Immigration Reform.
And if you can get away with not doing that and hire someone, don't have to pay them very well, don't have to provide these things to them, we can see that as very simple logic. And they see the simple logic in that, but it's unacceptable. And it's not only illegal, it's unethical behavior.
Billy Carter says he hires H-2A workers because, despite the flaws, he gets a reliable and legal supply of good workers. And he can afford it for his high-value crop. But he says it does not work for many other farmers, and Congress needs to fix it.
But it's such a political football, and there are legitimate concerns on both sides of the equation that at this point are not being addressed and certainly won't be in the short term.
So Carter remains skeptical that the new political season will bring a harvest of significant immigration reform. Steve Baragona, VOA News, Eagle Springs, North Carolina.